In 3, 2.
Welcome to Country Cousins, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Paul Ehaw. Our co-host, the famous Richard Graham, he couldn't be with us today. He's in Tennessee. He's back there. I think he wouldn't tell me, but I think he's got something up his sleeve. He's back there. He's going to be talking to a couple producers about doing some music with a couple groups back there. And he's trying to keep it under his hat, but if you know Richard like I do, he's not going to be able to keep it very still.
No.
He's like the Los Angeles Times. I mean, once he gets something, everybody in town knows about it.
That's
but
right.
I couldn't get him to tell me anything, so hopefully we'll find out when he comes back. So I'm filling in his spot today, and filling in my spot when I usually co-host with Richard is the lovely Isabel Vila. I should say Pastor Isabel Vila, and she's co-hosting with me today. So you got us, so you won't have to worry about somebody saying, "Hey, buddy, I'm Richard Graham, and I just want you to know that, I can't remember your name, but yeah, here he is anyway." So, that's Richard, if you know what I'm talking about.
You got
So-
my name right the first time. You got it. I
Yeah,
don't know what.
did you hear that, Richard?
Yeah, the first time, the first shot, you got it.
Now, we had some exciting news. You told me we were in the green room before we come into the studio. You said that prior to you having the place that you just got there in Fresno, which is located at 3626 East Ventura Avenue,
Correct.
they came to you, the court system came to you, and they told you that they have another place in Bakersfield, and they would like for you to take that over for like a group home to help out people. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we launched our program here in Fresno. This building became available to us, you're right, at 3626 East Ventura Avenue. And there is a family out in Bakersfield who happened to know a young lady that we brought into our program from Bakersfield. And they called us and said, I have this rental home. It's going to be vacant in about 45 days. Can you bring your program that you have centered in Fresno and bring it into Bakersfield? Because the need is great. And our program is a little different. We have your boundaries, right? Breakfast, everybody has to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner together because we make sure everybody's eating healthy. And that gives us a time to actually get to know one another and what
that
we
way
did
it's
during our
more
days.
structured that way.
It is.
Instead of everybody going out on their own.
Correct. And so we do a lot of family-oriented things, right? Because they need to learn how to adapt back into receiving love and giving love. We don't really have where you can't go out. I have to monitor your medicine. I have to monitor your calls. Because if I keep babying somebody in our program, I'm not really letting them grow for when they're out of our program.
Exactly, yeah.
When they go back to try to get an apartment or a home, there's nobody going to be there to tell them, take your pills, clean your room, do this.
Yeah.
So I try to have it as much where they can get their mind back into, becoming organized again, being responsible again, doing things on their own without me telling them, you can't talk to this person, you have to be in bed by this time. We have rules, but at the same time, we have to give them time to grow. And so we're the only program that does that. There's no other program that is structured the way we are. And when they come into us, we help them clean up their backgrounds if they have criminal records. We help them convert all their fees and fines to probation or the courts or to the DMV into
That's good.
Community service hours.
So a lot of programs don't do that.
No, and so instead of saying, okay, we can wipe your debt free, right, they have to work it off. We have to understand that they don't have the money, right? So why are we going to make them feel guilty and bad and leave them in debt? Let's just convert all of that over to community service hours. They can come into different businesses, different programs, and pay off their debt that way. And we help them get back on their feet. We also help individuals create their businesses. So right now we have 2 men in our program, and they're starting to build a yard cleaning service. It's called Valley Green. And so they get an income, and part of that comes into the program because our program doesn't have a fee. So when I was down in my luck in life, God just always provided, and I didn't have to worry about, am I going to have money for a meal or somewhere to sleep?
Yeah.
So I try to do that back because God did it for me. So we don't have a fee for beds and we don't have a fee for meals. So they see this, right? They see that there's somebody willing to invest in them freely. They're willing to see them with the eyes of hope and not like, you're a failure, you're not going to get this right.
Yeah.
So if they see me investing my time and my personal finances into them and into a program that's going to help them, Now they're in a position where they want to help me back. They say, well, let's start this business, Pastor, and then we get paid, and part of it goes into the program.
Correct. Now, do you ever have anybody that comes in there? Because I know I have some friends that they had run programs in the past, and you'll get somebody in there like maybe that's like they came in and they were ordered by the court to come there, or you get somebody that was just down on their luck and they got drugs and alcohol and they lost their job and their family and they're there trying to turn around. You ever get somebody that comes in there and you know within like a matter of hours, you know, this person's for this place, or you know when that person gets here, they're not going to work out because they're not going to listen to anything I'm telling them, so it's best that I don't help them.
You know, I am so grateful and thankful that at this point, I've had maybe one or two situations with somebody that I've had housed, but I set them aside. I don't give up on them on their first mistake. And I tell them, you know, it's not about the mistake that you make, it's what you do with that mistake. If you sit here and you're still going to try to argue, lie, try to be deceitful about what you did do, then you're not ready for this program. And then I do ask them to leave. But I always tell them whenever you are ready to start taking those steps of ownership, then you're always welcome because you're always going to have a place here.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because like I said, a lot of places, when they get somebody in there, like I had a neighbor that his kid had gotten in trouble years ago, and the court ordered him to go into like a program, and they had him at the Salvation Army, and for the first month he was in there, he couldn't talk to anybody on the phone. They couldn't make any phone calls. It was all just basically the guy had the detox, and the only people he could talk to was the people at the Salvation Army, which was good because, you know, that breaks it up so where that person knows that when you're in there, they mean business and they're trying to get you on the right track. So that's why I was asking about your program.
Yeah, so everybody that comes in is going to be different. I don't have a set rule for everybody because not everybody that comes into our program has a drug addiction or an alcoholic problem. So I don't need to give everybody a 30-day blackout, right? I have somebody in our program right now, just graduated high school, but had nowhere to go. So we would have had a high school graduate, clean and sober, somewhere in a tent or somewhere under a bridge because he had nowhere to go, right? So I'm going to welcome him in, and I'm not going to give him the same rules and guidelines and everything as I would somebody who's struggling with a drug addiction.
Yeah, because there's a different set of
Correct.
circumstances.
Yeah, so everybody in our program is different. People are going to be on blackouts depending on what the situation is that they come to us. I definitely don't cover for their mistakes, but I will help them through them. So I had somebody on parole, got into trouble over the weekend, but I sat them down and I said, if you're honest with me, I will help you through it. If you're going to sit here and waste my time, there's a door, you know, because this program is for you to grow. And I don't expect you to be perfect and stay perfect. You're going to make mistakes, but I do expect you to own the mistakes because that's growing up. That's
one thing I was going to ask you because you said that, I know you had made mention before that sometimes you get people that were like out of jail or out of prison stuff. Okay, do you have to like report back to their like probation counselor, or do you have to report to the judge or somebody like that and let them know how they're progressing?
Yes.
Or do they come to your facility to find out?
They do. So I have a parole officer that will come and do a check, and then I have another one where I have to write reports to the judge and let them know how they're doing in the program. And so it just depends on what their need is to make sure that they stay in compliance. That's what we provide for them.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So now you made mention that you said you got a place, they offered you a place there in Bakersfield. If you were to get that, were you going to go between like Fresno and Bakersfield, or how are you going to work that?
Yes and no. So for maybe the first 30 days, I will be traveling. I live in Porterville, so Bakersfield and Fresno is the same distance for me, either which way, kind of, you know. But we're also getting another home in Baja California. So
Bakersfield, you're not too far from LA.
Nope. So I keep going, right? Yeah. But my goal is I don't want to have to be in every home.
Yeah.
So the people that are in our program right now here in Fresno, then we're teaching them and we're training them to be leaders so that I can step out of that home and they can step in, right? We have to give them reason and we have to give them purpose. And people that come to us, they've already lost everybody that they had in life because they burned all those bridges. So they're at a point in life where everybody just looks at them as failures, as somebody who's never going to get it right. and they don't have a chance for somebody to look at them with fresh eyes and say, you know what, let's do this because you could. So we're taking that chance in them, right? They will be the leaders that are in our homes as we get more homes.
So basically while you're there, you're teaching the
Training
staff
them.
that's there. You're training them so when you leave, they adhere to all the rules and regulations that you have. That way, you'll know when you're in another home. I wonder if they're operating the place in Fresno right, the place in Bakersfield right.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
and,
good.
And I've left them. I go every other weekend to Baja California to do service out there. So the weekends that I have left, the house here runs smooth. And I have it as a co-ed. I have it for men and women. I've never had a problem with them. They help each other cook. They help each other clean. They support each other.
That's good because a lot of programs that they have set up, they're sanctioned so where it's like a woman's home or
Yeah.
it's a man's home. They never have like a co-ed.
Correct.
So yeah.
And ours is co-ed, and they get along so beautiful. Like if you were to go in, and I invite everybody, right? Because in our Fresno home, we have breakfast at 7:30, lunch at 12:30, and dinner at 6. When you walk in through that door, there's somebody that's going to greet you and say good morning or good afternoon. There's somebody that's going to walk you to a table, and if you're alone, that person is going to sit down with you and have a cup of coffee with you or have a water with you or lunch with you. And so you start feeling the sense of belonging. You start feeling like, wait a minute, this is
Somebody
home.
cares about me.
Yeah. And that's what I teach them. That's what I tell them. I say, you never say no to whoever walks through these doors. As long as we have this couch in the day room empty, we have room for one more, right? And so that's our goal. Our goal is to continue to grow. And I know as people start hearing about our programs and seeing about our programs, we're going to have more people offering their homes, right? In honor of a loved one that passed away, in honor of a brother or sister or daughter or son who was lost in addiction. In honor of them knowing what loneliness is and what, the desire of
yeah.
somebody. Yeah, I have an 18-year-old. You know the first thing she told me when I saw her?
No.
She said, Miss Isabel, she's out, why can I not be loved? She said, I'm going to school right now trying to finish high school. She's on, it seems like I have to run every day just to get through another day. She said, why can't I just be a little kid? Why can't somebody just love me?
That's where you guys come in.
That's where we come in.
Yeah. Now, if somebody just tuned in and they're watching, and whether they be with like the court system or their probation or whatever, and they want to try to get a hold of you because maybe they're interested in getting somebody in the program, how do they get a hold of you?
They can call me directly. My cell phone is always on me. And my cell phone number is 559-667-3608.
Okay, correct.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
It
That's
doesn't
good.
matter where they're at. We'll come to them. We'll drive to them. Whatever city, county they're at, we'll come to them.
Okay, good. That way they've always got a place to go and they don't feel like there's nobody out there to help me when they're down and out.
Correct.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our first break, and we'll come back to you in about 2 or 3 minutes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the
Welcome
Country
back.
Cousin Show. I'm your host, Paul E. Hall. I'm taking over for the wonderful Mr. Richard Graham, who's back in Tennessee trying to work out some kind of record deal. So we'll have to see what happens when he gets back. I'm sure he'll tell all of us about it.
I'm
and
sure he
filling
will.
in for my spot, which normally when I'm here, is Pastor Isabel Vila.
Yes.
And we're here today, and we were talking about a couple of the group homes that she has. And we'll get a chance later on in the show to hear a little bit more about that. But I want to talk a little bit about a good friend of ours, Richard and I's, a guy by the name of, Daniel Renteria. And if you've never heard this guy play, he's a great guitar player, and he's also a singer-songwriter. And he's going to be doing some opening for a couple big acts in Las Vegas. So it's kind of hard to get a hold of him. So when he does come by and get in our studios, we're real happy to have him here. So we got a hold of him a couple weeks ago, and we said, hey, can you come in? And he says, I can. I'm going to Vegas, but I'll do one better. I'll stop by your studio there in Los Angeles, and I'll record a couple songs before I go over to Vegas. Is that okay? I said, yeah, sure. So I contacted the studio. They said, yeah, have them come in. So Richard interviewed them and had them played a couple songs. So we're going to go to that segment now. This was recorded last week, and it'll be with live with Daniel Renteria and your host from the Country Cousins, Richard Graham, will be interviewing him, and he'll be playing, I believe, a total of 3 songs he recorded. And then we're going to come back to you, and we'll talk some more with Pastor Isabel Vila and find out about her group home. And if you want to get into that, or if you know somebody that needs help, she can tell you more about it. So let's go to that segment right now that was recorded last week with Daniel Renteria and Richard Graham.
3, 2.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Country Cousins Show. My co-host is stepped out for the moment, but he'll be back in a few minutes, Mr. Paul Ehaw, and the very beautiful, dynamic, wonderful lady that works with her. Her name is, wait a minute, I'll get it in a minute. I'm lost for a name. Isabel. There it is. Her name is Isabel, and she'll be with us in a few minutes too. So, joining me at the current moment, we're currently joined by, and we're in Los Angeles, California. You see the beautiful palm trees in the background, and the haze in the background, so you know we're in Los Angeles, California. So joining me in the Los Angeles area from Fresno, California, Mr. Daniel Renteria. He's coming on to talk about, to sing us a few songs and things like that. Daniel, tell the fine folks out there that's viewing the show right now a little bit about yourself before you get into your songs.
Well, I am here from Fresno, California, born and raised here, and went to all the Fresno schools, and
Yes.
currently retired right now, so I'm enjoying my endless summer.
Isn't it nice to be retired?
Yeah, it is. But this is a song I wrote called "Season of the Sun,"
Okay.
and it's really nice weather right now. It's
Yes.
beautiful. It's going to get a little warm pretty soon. And,
Okay.
that's when this song would make more sense.
Okay, fantastic. Go for it.
Okay, thank you. We met down in Mexico. It was long before the rains. Caught a ride to Santa Fe and danced across the plains. And when the night came crashing down, we slipped below the trees. The morning caught me out of breath and brought me to my knees. It was the crazy days in June. We were laughing at the moon. It was all in fun. It was the season of the sun. We found a waterfall out west and showered in the mist. It was bold and the water cold, but it was worth the risk. Living free without a care until the day was done. We were wild and we were young like rebels on the run. It was the crazy days in June. We were laughing at the moon. It was all in fun. It was the season of the sun. Then we flipped a coin and headed north to find ourselves again. Turned around and headed north and pushed against the wind. And when the night came crashing down, we slept below the trees. The morning caught me out of breath and brought me to my knees. You know, it was the days in June. We were howling at the moon. You get the picture, Richard?
Yeah.
And it was all in fun, yes it was. It was the season of the sun. Season of the sun.
All right. Yeah. That's it right there. So tell us, any new projects do you have coming up?
Not at this point in time. I'm just doing staying busy, staying
Right,
active. I'm really involved with some family
Yes.
type stuff going on, and so I've got some ideas for maybe putting together a little show, a little act, and maybe
Right.
going on a local circuit, but
Okay.
that's probably a few weeks, maybe a few weeks away.
Few weeks, yeah, still a few weeks out. Fantastic, fantastic. Now you were saying that your daughter also plays guitar or something.
She's an incredible percussionist, plays
Okay.
a little guitar, a little keyboard, but she's mainly a percussionist
Right.
drummer. So we were in a band together about 10 years ago, and she
Okay.
she was the drummer.
Well, we're gonna have her on the show.
Yeah.
You know, when I started doing the music business, and I was really blessed. I'm going down the road, and I don't tell this too often, but I was going down the road in Los Angeles, and I ran into a guy. He was a Vietnam veteran. I was a veteran, and I figured my best thing that I should do for that day was stop and help people that needed help. So this guy had a flat tire. I didn't know he was a veteran at the time, but I ran into him, and I was really shocked and blessed that he was George Jones, percussionist drummer.
Oh. Yeah.
And he was working with the George Jones band. And when I stopped and helped him, he was explaining to me that he had been drumming for Barbara Mandrell, Reba McEntire, Oak Ridge Boys, Lee Greenwood, and just about everybody that's in the country music field back in that day, plus Kenny Rogers and all of them.
Yeah.
So it was a blessing to run into this guy and talk to him for a few minutes. And we became really great friends. And he also helped me work on my album. When I cut my album, he was there and brought all the guys in to help me work on my album.
Wow,
And that was
nice.
really a super blessing to have it done. So, yeah, and hopefully she'll come in and we get something together and do a few songs and stuff and create a package. You know what I'm saying?
Very nice. Yeah.
Now, is there anything going on local? Anything local that you're doing, like you're at the club?
Here, well, here in Fresno, we're sponsoring a Porch Fest in
Right.
April. So I'm having 5 bands
Right.
playing on my front porch, and there's probably close to 50 porches involved. So hundreds of musicians will be out in the Tower District that day, just promoting music, playing their originals, and just having a really good time, really bringing music to the Tower
Well, yeah,
District.
that's great. Because I just ran into a guy, a guy a couple of weeks ago that wrote songs for Dolly Parton.
No, yeah.
And he's the pastor of a church. And I'm like, shocked. Dolly Parton, pastor of church, the guy writing songs for Dolly Parton. But then when you think about it, you see a whole lot of people who write songs for a lot of entertainers. They're not well known, but their song is that they wrote that is well known, you know. And so this is what you have. And I'm learning from the experience of watching all these people work with other people and find out who they are and what they're about.
Yeah,
It's really great.
that makes sense because she's very spiritual.
Yes.
And you probably know a lot of performers,
Yes.
singers, started off in the church as
Right.
gospel singers.
Just about everyone that did years ago, and it's amazing, ladies and gentlemen, how that a lot of people don't realize that a lot of your country gospel singers, your country music singers, your rock and roll singers, and they, over the last few years, they've been telling us on CBS and NBC and all the television network shows that they started off in the church when they were small. So that's where most of all your music come from, was the church. And then it escalated as they grew up and continued to move forward like that. So it's a great thing. So you got another 2 songs coming up for us. And we're going to go ahead and do these and get into these.
Okay.
And we're just going to roll right through this segment. And Paul will be back here in a minute. And the beautiful, dynamic, wonderful lady that works with her, Isabel, will be back in a few minutes. And so just go ahead and let's do another song. And we'll be back in a few minutes, ladies and gentlemen. But stick around. Don't go nowhere. Yeah, don't leave the show yet.
Well, this is an original song called Hollywood.
Yes.
So this goes out to the beautiful people in Los Angeles.
Fantastic. Yes.
It goes like this. Night fell hard in Hollywood. I've got to leave this town. LA ain't the place for me. I've got to move around. Got some friends on the Central Coast. I think I'll visit there. Had a girl in the San Joaquin, but I know now she don't care. Standing in the pouring rain, I've got nowhere to hide. I think about another life far beyond the other side. No more searching for the truth. I've given up the fight. Left my heart in Hollywood in the shadows of the night. So I go alone again into the darkened sky, never knowing what went wrong and never asking why. Say goodbye to Hollywood, the bright lights and the pain. Nothing more to leave behind and nothing more to gain. Here we go.
Yay! Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. All you great folks down here in Los Angeles, you know about Hollywood, and you know what's happening in Hollywood. We're always making movies, things are going on. It's great to be in Los Angeles. Despite the smog, though. I don't like the smog, despite the smog. But the weather's great. And anyway, I want to send a shout out to my dear cousin. She's the editor, and she's going to be here. She's coming up. She's going to be here with us this coming summer. Lord's willing, that don't happen. Sonia Savage, and she'll be coming and talking about the amazing things that she does down here in Los Angeles, California, in areas. Mm-hmm. I think it'll be really be good. And to have that porch thing going on in Fresno, well, who prepared Mason might show up.
Well,
some of the group from over here might show up, you know. On the porch thing. Y'all remember this, ladies and gentlemen. I always make a trip to Fresno, California, check out the porch thing coming up in Fresno area. God bless you. So one more song, and then we're gonna let this fine gentleman go, and Paul and Isabel will be back, and we'll close out. Okay, so God bless you. We appreciate everybody watching the show, this segment, and he's gonna come back and do a song for us here in a little bit later on. That sent a dedication to our veterans who's still out there on the battlefield, still battling problems and things that's going on in their mind. You know, the veterans, it's so special to me. Of course, I've been in the Marines, but doing the veteran projects, we do have some coming up, and I will think it's really great that we can do that. So, you know, we need a few more songs on those too. So, yeah, let's hit one more song you got, and then we're going to close this segment out.
okay, thank you. Here's another original song. It's a little more jazzy, if it's okay.
Right.
If I can do a little jazz.
Fantastic.
It's called Dreamin'.
Okay, Dreamin'.
Dreamin', dreamin', dreamin' of you. That's all I really wanna do. When at night we're not together, I dream I'm making love to you. Lady, love me in the morning, and lady, hold me close to you. Can you feel the rhythm in me? Yeah. And do you feel the way I do? Lady, love me in the morning, and lady, hold me close to you. Can you feel the rhythm in me? Yeah. And do you feel the way I do?
Yay! Got it going on. Really? Our time is running out on us, but listen, it's so good to have you here and have you back on station again. We have to do it again. We got several projects coming up this summer, and we're going to collaborate on some of those projects that we got coming up, work together on them. And hopefully we'll get your daughter in here. And hopefully we'll get the fine gentleman Mike Briggs that up here to sit in front of the camera instead of behind the camera. And play for you too, ladies and gentlemen. So we hope everybody have enjoyed the show this evening and the program. And we just want to say, Paul Eha, he'll be back with us in a little bit. And Isabel, she'll be back with us. It's Vega, Isabel Vega. I think I got it right. I think I got it right. But anyway, we thank you so very much for joining us here on the Country Cousin Show. And we want to thank Mr. Daniel Renteria for coming out and being a part of it this afternoon and continues to work with us on the Country Cousin Show. We really appreciate this. Fantastic program. Y'all will see us in Vegas. I want to tell y'all that. So all you folks watching from Vegas and around the world, you will see us in Vegas, in London. So God bless you. Y'all have a great evening, and we'll see you in a few minutes. Okay? Take care. Work with us on the Country Cousin Show.
Welcome
we really
back,
appreciate it.
Welcome back.
Fantastic program.
I'm your
will
host,
see us
Paul
in Vegas.
Eha. Welcome back to Country Cousin Show. And this is my co-host, Pastor Isabel Vila. And I appreciate her being here. She came all the way in from Bakersfield. And so I know that's quite a drive. So, in case you just now tuned in, we had her on earlier before we went into the segment with Daniel Renteria. And she was talking about a group home that she has that's in Fresno, and she got offered to open up another one in Bakersfield besides having one in Baja California. So it's really taken off for her. So I want to turn it back over to her, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are watching. They have some questions or maybe some comments, and maybe by letting her talk within the next few minutes, she can answer those. If not, then before this program's over, I'll have her give you her number or where you can get a hold of her, and you can talk to her about maybe if you know somebody that's struggling with alcohol, or maybe they just got out of jail and nobody wants to deal with them, or they're homeless, they're on the streets and nobody loves them or cares about them. She has a place where they can go, and they'll listen to them. They treat them just like a normal human being, and they won't be shunned or they won't be talked down to, and they'll be treated like a normal human being. So basically, I mean, what more do you want? I mean, that's all somebody wants in life, is to be loved. So without that, I mean, who wants to go on living if they feel like nobody cares about them? So, Pastor, can you tell us a little bit more about your homes?
Yeah, so the greatest commandment of all is love, right? That's what Jesus said. And that's what we aim with our homes. It doesn't matter who you were. It doesn't matter who you are when you come to us, right? We want to see that Jesus in you. So I always tell everybody, when you walk through our doors, you have a clean slate. I don't care if you're standing before me with a meth pipe in your hand and probably a sack in your sock, right? If you're walking through that door and you're wanting to surrender those items and start over, start clean at that moment, right? I'm not going to judge you for what you're sitting on my table to discard. I'm going to judge you for that courage and that strength that you had to walk through the doors and say, I surrender, I'm done, I need help.
Yeah.
And so we accept anybody and everybody. We don't charge for our services, and we do everything by faith. So we faithfully serve and believe and trust that God's going to continue to provide through either love offerings, donations, tithes and offerings because we are a church, or through the men and women that come through our program. I have 2 men that are launching a lawn service, right? They want to do something with their life. They feel so good that somebody's taking the chance at that time to invest in them, that now they want to get up. They want to be productive. They don't want to run to the welfare office, which that's nothing bad, right? But now they're setting higher goals for themselves.
Correct, yeah.
And that is so
So they can make their
beautiful.
own money.
Correct, because now they feel like they believe in me. I
They
can
have
do this.
self-worth.
They do. And so now they're trying so hard to gather all the tools that they need to start doing lawn services. They want to be, we had a truck donated to the church like 2 years ago, so they'll be using that. The women that are in their home, they are starting to do their house cleaning business. And again, it's coming together as one, right? It takes all of us to keep that home going. I need them as much as they need me. Sometimes when I come out of court on a heavy matter, and I get there and I see this 32-year-old man just arguing with a 15-year-old child, right? Like playfully. You get to take that step back and say, that's life. They're trying to fight over a basketball or fight over who's going to get the last ice cream or, who's going to take a shower first. It's like, it's just a home, It's a home. You can come and you can be childlike, because the Bible says you have to be childlike, right? And you just get to know one another. And if there is an issue in the home amongst anybody, then they know the punishment. The punishment now is you're going to spend all day together, doing chores together, doing errands together, cooking together, serving together. And in that time that you're stuck together, right, you're going to get to know each other. Because if you get to know where that person is coming from, you're going to understand why they are the way they are. So you're going to be able to humble yourself. Instead of sit back and judge them and ridicule them, then you're going to be able to say, man, she's acting this way today because she just lost her kids.
Yeah.
Right? Or he's acting this way because he just got out of prison and didn't know where he was going to go. So you're not going to understand, and you're not going to be able to help someone. You're not going to be able to be there for them unless you walk a mile in their shoes. So they already know. Try to work it out before they come to me, because if they come to me, they're going to be stuck together all day. And at the end of the day, they have to write a 1-page letter to me of what they learned about the other person. And it gives them that humbling spirit at that moment.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of programs, they don't necessarily have that same curriculum like you do, which is, after you told me, a little bit about your homes, which is really good. A lot of them, they get out and it's basically, they don't really have any curriculum. It's almost like it's set up like it's military. And so when they come out of the jail, they don't want to go back into something so where it's like they're in the Marines or the Army and they got some guy like a Sergeant Carter yelling at them and he's threatening to kill him or do something. They want somebody that says, hey, look, I know where you've been. I've been in those shoes too.
That's right.
I can help you. You just got to trust me, and you got to surrender everything.
That's
and
right.
if you trust me, then I can help you. If you don't trust me, then there's not going to be a mutual bond made between you and I, and so it's going to be hard, and you're gonna struggle while you're in this house. And I'll never forget my family. We had been friends with the old director of the Fresno Rescue Mission, Larry Arce. We were friends with him for 40 years. Mm-hmm. My mom and dad knew him, and my 2 older brothers, myself. And I remember he told my mom on several occasions, she says, well, I can't understand, why they can't do anything with the homeless people or people that come out of jail. And it seems like there where you're at, the city of Fresno doesn't want to help them. And he says, well, Lois, he says, it's not that. He says, I get people, he says, when they come to the rescue mission, he says, I tell them, look, there's certain guidelines that you have to follow.
Yes.
And but one of the things, he says, I tell them when they come in, he says, and I tell them this up front. He says, number 1, you can't be on any drugs or any alcohol. Number 2, don't think that you're going to sneak out late at night and rendezvous with somebody to go do bad things. And number 3, you have to be willing to want to change. Because if you come in here and the rescue mission is trying to help you, and we're giving you a roof over your head, and we're giving you 3 square meals, and all we're asking you to do is change, because that's what we want you to do so you can become a productive member of society. And you don't want to do that, and you feel like you're being imposed on because we want you to go to a church service or a Bible study, and you can't adhere to that, then it's best that you don't come in our program, because we can find somebody that will, open arms, want to change, and somebody that's down and out, and they'll want to do that. So he told my mom, he says that, it's not that the city doesn't want to help them, they do. It's just that they have to want to help themselves. That's the number one rule. If you don't want to help yourself, then it doesn't matter how many great things they got at that program or what they have to offer the person, it's not gonna work. They're not gonna be able to help you. So that's good that you said when, you meet them there, you tell them, hey, I don't care what you've got, what you've done when you come here, you've got a clean slate, but you have to be willing to change, because if you don't, and you just see yourself as, non-productive, and I just want to be a Freddie the freeloader and, get by, then my program's not for you. So that's good that you said that.
Yeah, we give them the option, and even then, like I said, we never turn anybody away, right? One of the hardest things for me to do when I went through everything in life was to trust, right? I had already been lied, deceived, beaten, raped, molested, casted out by even my own family members, my sister, my uncles, people that you're supposed to trust.
Yeah.
And so then I didn't believe I could trust anybody, right? I didn't believe I had that I was meant to have somebody in my corner and to help me through that. And so when somebody comes into our program, we don't force them right away to participate in what we do. If they need to sit on the sidelines, right, and watch us, then little by little, God's working in their heart. And then their chair went from way over here in the corner to now to this table. And then from that table to next to us, right? They went from probably not wanting to say grace and just stay by themselves to now leading grace. We have to lead by example. We can't just say, oh, you don't want to study right now, and you don't want to go to service right now, then you can't be here. Because when God first came to me, I didn't want to go to church. I didn't have faith. I didn't believe that I was worthy enough to have God in my side. So imagine if God would have not had that patience with me. That's the same patience that I want to show our families, right? That the hardest step is to take it inside, to walk in those doors. That's the hardest step. Or pick up that phone and say, can you come pick me up? I don't need to know your story right then and there. I don't need to know if you're going to get into my car,
Correct,
like
yeah.
I said, with anything, right? I just need to know that you're calling and asking for help, and we're going to be there. Everything else will unfold on its way. And our service is a little different. Like, we'll go to service once, like in an actual building, to a church service once a month. The other 3 Sundays, we actually dedicate to the community. So we take the church out to those who can't make it to the building.
Yeah, somebody
So-
that's like ambulatory.
Yeah.
They can't get out. They're
Correct,
shut in.
Correct. So now I'm teaching them. The ones that are coming into the program are learning how to meet somebody where they're at. You meet somebody, and in a convalescent home, you meet somebody in a hospital, you meet somebody on a bus or on a riverbank, wherever God leads us, that's where we're going to go. Because God doesn't say, come to me, this is my church, come into this building. What did Jesus do? He went out to the people.
Yeah. And
And so-
they appreciate that too.
Yeah,
Because
it's
my
beautiful.
church, they have a program set up where the second Saturday of every month, we deliver groceries to the senior citizens village. And a lot of the seniors that are there, they don't have any family. They don't have anybody. They're all there by themselves. So when I go there, a normal delivery should only take about an hour. I'm usually there for 2.5, 3 hours before I get back to the church with the van, because the people always tell me, well, do you have to go right away? And I wanted to talk to you. And so I already know that, they don't have anybody to talk to. So instead of being, a mean guy or having a cold shoulder, I sit there and talk to them, because that might be the only time that they get to actually talk to somebody and tell them, meaning me, they get to
Yes.
tell me what's on their heart and, how their week went, because I don't see these people but once a month. So a lot can happen within 4 weeks.
Of course.
Sometimes I go back and I find out the person that I was delivering groceries to, they had passed away. Or I find out from the other seniors there that live by them, they moved. Or they fell and broke their hip and now they're in a rest home. So anything can happen. So when I go there, I try to treat them with the utmost respect and try to listen to them and don't brush them off, because you don't know, like the Bible says, life is like a vapor. Nobody's guaranteed tomorrow.
Correct.
So when I go there and see them, there's no guarantee I'm going to see them the next time I see them, which is a month away. So I try to, be good to them and treat them, like they're the Queen of Sheba. And if it's a guy, I try to treat him like he's the King of Siam. And that's the way you have to do. And they know it and they appreciate it. So, and that's something you said that I like, that your thing is when somebody comes in, you tell them clean slate, but you stop right there and then you disclose to them up front and you say, look, but here's the rules before you come into my house. If you can adhere to those rules, then hey, we're going to get along real good. If not, I can't help you.
Correct. And for your seniors that you connect, we'd love to come and have lunch with them, or come and have dinner. I have a young lady, she's older, she's in a senior home in Bakersfield. I got to meet her for the first time today, and she's actually from Fresno. So they're going to be traveling over here to come see our program, and then I invited her to the zoo. So we're going to go to the zoo, right? So we love doing that with our seniors. We love stepping in, and we love just being a kid, childlike with them, whether we have to go to where they're at or whether we have to pick them up and bring them to where we are, so we can play bingo, board games, so we can watch some movies. So we can just go out to the park one day and just barbecue, go to the zoo, make a whole trip, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Because you're creating those memories and those moments. Imagine one day this whole back wall is going to be filled with pictures of us and our seniors and our young kids and, our troubled teens. And those are memories that they get to carry with them in their heart. Those are memories that are going to start taking over probably a lot of ugly memories that are there.
Exactly,
So
yeah.
you can conquer all that, and you can just cover all that with all the beautifulness.
Yeah, and that ministry with delivering groceries, I mean, it didn't start out that way, but after I was in it for a couple of years doing it, it's turned into a ministry.
That's right.
Because the people, they look forward to seeing me, and they get excited. And like I said, I like to talk to them and tease them and tell them jokes and stuff. And so, so it saddens my heart, when I go there and I find out, this guy died or this lady passed away, or maybe they got moved into a rest home on a better note. Maybe somebody's been there and their kids decide that, they're going to have another room in the house. And they come and they get them and they say, you know what, we don't want you there at the Senior Citizen Village anymore. We're going to get you. You're going to stay here with us. So that's good.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
Do you see that happen a lot?
Yeah, I've had that. There's about 6 or 7 people there that I became friends with that happened. So that was good for them.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Yeah, there was a couple guys there, and I got to meet these guys. And the one guy, he was like an old convict guy, and he didn't warm up to me very well, and he used to treat me like I was a spy or something. And he used to always tell me, he says, he was a Mexican gentleman, and he says, he looks at me and goes, hey, Essie, he goes, I want to let you know one thing. He goes, don't you try to do anything around me. You got that? He goes, because I know you're kind. I said, what's my kind? He goes, well, I don't know, but I know you're kind. So after about 6 months of going there and seeing him and visiting him, and I didn't change. I stayed the same way. And then the people next to him, they said, hey, man, why don't you lighten up, man? The guy's, he's got nothing against you. Well, I didn't know the guy had a dog. So the dog come out. When I saw the dog, I said, oh, hey, how you doing? And the dog started shaking his tail, and he started doing happy sprinkles. And the dog jumped up on me. And then he says, I said, oh, you're so cute. And when the guy saw that the dog had a rapport with me right away, and I love the dog. Then the next time I went there, then the guy was a big marshmallow. He goes,
Aw.
yeah. He goes, I saw how Boo Boo he acted with you, and he goes, I guess you're okay. He goes, you're not so bad after all. He goes, yeah. He goes, my dog likes you. There's no reason I can't like you. So after that, then I became real good friends with the guy. So just different things like that. So.
Well, look at what a swell guy you are, Mr. Paul. Look at what happens everywhere you go. Wow,
And then
look
his
at that.
neighbor, what was funny was his neighbor 2 doors down, every time, he was another guy that was in jail years ago. And he's an older guy in his like mid-70s. And every time I'd knock on the door to let him know the groceries there, he'd always say, who is it? And I'd say FBI. And as soon as I say FBI, you could hear everything falling inside of his living room like he's trying to get out of there. Like he's got drugs in there. There's $100,000 in cold cash. He's got, Mac 9s, and he's got hand grenades, and he's got Uzis in there, and he's tripping over everything. He goes, I'll be there in a minute. Then he comes to the door and he goes, oh, it's you. I said, do you honestly think the FBI would be looking for you? I said, here at the Senior Citizen Village? I go, they got bigger fish to fry. They're not coming after you. I go, forget it. You're old. You're retired. I go, you're all washed up. I go, guys like you. I go, they died out when they shut down Alcatraz. He goes, thanks a lot. I said, hey, I'm only telling you the truth. FBI's not coming to you, so just forget it. He goes, okay. So the other guys would always laugh because I tell them, hey, watch when I knock on his door. And they didn't believe me. So I knock on the door and he goes, who is it? I go, FBI. Then everything's falling inside of his living room like he's trying to hide stuff. And then he comes to the door and he goes, oh, it's you. I said, I've been doing this for a year, and I don't know why you keep thinking the FBI is coming to your house. And I says, it's just me delivering groceries. And so finally he got to the point where he knew I was delivering the groceries. He didn't say too much. So I just said, hey, yeah, how's it going? So, things like that, they make you laugh.
Yeah, those characters, and that's so good to like I said, I like connecting my seniors with those that are in our program now, right? Because our seniors have so much wisdom. They have so much character, right? They've been through so much, and what better way than, for somebody to understand life and to actually like relive those moments, but spending time together.
Yeah, I always tell people, I would tell my pastor at the church, I don't know how he liked me telling him, but I told him anyway. I said, I don't really like the youth or like working with young people. I like the older people better. Older meaning like 70 plus, because when I talk to them, I learn something, and it's like talking to an encyclopedia. They know things that I haven't known or I haven't learned yet. And most of them, they probably forgot about more stuff than I'll ever know. And when you talk to somebody that's like 16, 17, 18, they're know-it-alls. You can't tell them nothing.
Yes.
They did this, they did that, and you're nobody. But it's not the same with the senior citizen.
No.
So that's why I like them. I'm just prejudiced in that way. I like to work with the older people.
Oh, Mr. Paul, I think I'm going to come help you deliver groceries then. Cause it is harder with the younger crowd. You're right.
Yeah.
Because they know it all, right? They don't need the guidance. They don't need the direction, because they're the ones that are paving the way.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back. We're going to take a commercial break, and our show's almost over. And I'll come back and close out in exactly 2 minutes. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Country Cousin Show. I'm your host, Paul Ehaw, and this is my co-host, Pastor Isabel Villa. And we just thank you for joining us today. And I don't know where the time went, but it just flew by.
Very quick.
Yeah. And so I hope you had a chance to hear about basically what Pastor Isabel was talking about her group homes. And she has one in Fresno, one in Bakersfield, one in Baja. And I promised you before we went to commercial break earlier in the show that I would have her give you her number if you want to get in contact with her. If you'd like to get into the program or you know somebody that would need help,
Correct.
then I'll go ahead and I'll turn it over to her, and then that'll finish our show.
Yeah, Mr. Paul, thank you. The number that they can contact is 559-667-3600. 08.
Okay, that should do it. We thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Same station and same channel. So talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.